Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. We are pleased to hold our Government and Small Business Assistant Advisory Group here on June 27th. Happy Friday. We'll go ahead and take a roll call.
Great. And before we do that, I just want to make a brief announcement. I believe Blake has joined us online, but because he's not at a notice, he won't be able to do.
Thank you.
Chair Rodriguez,
Here.
Mayor Locke Dawson, absent. Vice Mayor Olmos, absent. Felipe Aguirre, absent. Rochelle Arizmendi, absent. Paul Avila,
Present.
Jeffrey Blake, absent. Mayor Ted Bui, absent. Todd Campbell, absent. Levon Daniel,
Here.
John DeWitt, absent. Bill Lamar,
Here.
Rita Loof,
Here.
Eddie Marquez, absent. David Rothbart,
Here.
Mayor Stewart, absent. Councilmember Brightling.
Here.
We do not have a quorum.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and proceed with a productive meeting irregardless. And we'll go ahead and move to action item number 2 with the approval of minutes. We have those, looks like for January and March. We want to take those separately?
Or shall we not do this at this meeting since there's not a quorum?
That's right. Okay, well, we'll just roll those until we have a quorum and we'll move on to item 4, which is a review of follow-up action items.
Thank you, Chair and members of the advisory group. We have 2 follow-up action items. At the January 17th, 2025 meeting, the advisory group members requested how the LGSB charter could be amended, and that presentation and an update will be scheduled at a future meeting. And then at the March 21st, 2025 meeting, the advisory group members requested the copies of the policies that allow staff to chair the meeting. We sent out by email the charter, and I recommend that discussion, since it's also charter related, be rolled into that next discussion.
Okay. So we'll look forward to any and all questions at that time related to that topic. And were there any other action items?
That was it.
Okay. I'm going to move that we go to item 6, and then we'll take item 5. I was remiss in my remarks in highlighting, I know one of the previous goals for the advisory group in the past has been to be able to provide a comment in writing on different rules for consideration. That was something that we were able to navigate through the process, and ultimately a letter was submitted on behalf of advisory group regarding 1111, 1121. So I just think I wanted to highlight that process and that input, and I know you're all aware of the outcome. So just wanted to highlight that we understood your wanting to be able to do that, and we were able to collaborate to make that happen. So we'll I thought that might pose a nod, but we'll go ahead before we go on to the item. Rita.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you, Chairman, for all your work and your efforts. And I wanted to thank the committee and all the members for working really hard to finalize that letter. So thank you. I really appreciate your efforts on that.
Sure thing. And as long as we're saying thank yous, I did watch, not participate, but I did watch the meeting, and it was like, I was thinking it was borderline on the 2.5 hours. I had to leave off of, after hour 2 during that process.
Good.
So appreciate all the input there, and staff do appreciate involvement and effort to make that happen as well. So we'll move forward then to item 6, our update on Clean Fuels Annual Report, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the advisory group. Vasilios Papapostolou, Technology Demonstration Manager in the Technology Advancement Office. Next slide, please. So every year under the Clean Fuels Program, we are required to submit to the state legislature a report of what we did as part of our clean fuels activities last year and what we're planning on doing this year. So we're now in 2025. Back in March, we submitted the report on activities, projects, all of the work that we did in 2024 and what we are proposing for this year, 2025. Next slide, please. So a little background on the Clean Fuels Program. We focus on projects that go from research and development, demonstration into deployment. And we're looking into new technologies and how we can get those new technologies into the commercial sector. And when that happens, we have the incentive programs that we can add those projects to the incentives programs and provide additional support as those are commercialized. Next slide, please. So in 2024, the Clean Fuels funding is shown here. We spent $8.5 million on projects supported by the program. As you see there on the pie chart, a major part of that amount of the $8.5 million went to the MATE-6 study that has just started this year, and it's under the Health Impact Studies category. So for MATE-6, there is work done on particulate matter, source attributions of particulate matter for brake, road, and tire wear. There is also a study with the University of California, Riverside on ethylene oxide. And also UCR is also looking at potential secondary formation of ethylene oxide that may be formed in the atmosphere at very, very low levels. We initiated a total of 25 projects in 2024 for a total project cost of $26 million. So as you see there, Clean Fuels Fund 8.5, about a 3-to-1 ratio in funding from Clean Fuels. And next slide, please. So here we're highlighting a few projects that were started in 2024, last year. So going from left to right, we have one project that was awarded to us by the Air Resources Board to electrify the Balboa Island ferries that have been in place since the 1950s. And we're looking to electrify those. Those ferries transport 1.5 million passengers on average per year and about 350,000 cars going back and forth. So we're looking to electrify those two ferries in Balboa Island. To the right of that, we have a project with Zero Emission Industries to develop a mobile refueler for hydrogen. And the idea there is that that refueler would be providing a 1 week worth of fuel to a vessel or a locomotive in under 2 hours. We're talking about 3,500 kilograms. The next project is another study with UCR. There's a tool being developed, an optimization tool for charging infrastructure for battery electric medium and heavy duty trucks, and how those chargers can be dropped, installed at specific locations on the truck's routes. And there's an optimization process using data from different kinds of databases, electricity grid, telematics data from the trucks, and so on and so forth, so that we can determine what the best locations are to drop chargers for trucks to charge in their routes. And finally, at the very right, we have the study from UCI in collaboration with Emission Analytics on the brake, tire, and road wear as part of the MATE-6 study. Next slide, please. A few more projects to be highlighted here that were started in 2024 and are ongoing. We have a project with Range Energy on a hybrid trailer. This is a very exciting technology. Then we have to the right, electrifying the 2 breath mobiles. We collaborate with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in San Bernardino to electrify their 2 breath mobiles. Those are asthma clinics, and they're providing support and tests and treatment and diagnosis to school students in schools in the AB617 communities, underserved communities, overburdened areas. The chassis for these folks is made by a company called Harbinger out in Garden Grove. And then we have other engine projects that are using fuel blends, and we're looking into making those engines more efficient. The very right project there on the slide is with Acatis, and it's an opposed piston technology engine that is being made to be more efficient in terms of performance and emissions of those. Next slide, please. So this is looking at the clean fuels funding for this year and the distribution in the pie chart. We are looking to use $31 million from the Clean Fuels Fund to support all these categories. Those are projects that we know about currently. And as you can see, we have quite a focus on zero emission infrastructure this year. And we're looking to support those projects and get the charges in place and find ways to make that possible during this year. And of course, moving forward in next years. Next slide, please. So last year, the division was very, very aggressive in grant writing. And we were awarded several grants, including a major award by EPA, the $500 million Invest Clean under their CPRG, Climate Pollution Reduction grant program. And this award includes 4 measures: battery electric charging infrastructure, battery electric trucks, battery electric cargo handling equipment, and also battery electric switcher locomotives. We have just started the process of issuing program announcements. The technology committee on June 20th did a preliminary review and approval of some of those PAs there for infrastructure, trucks, and the cargo handling equipment for a total of $230 million. And this recommendation will be going to our board in August 1st for final review and approval. Then we have another 2 awards by EPA under their heavy duty opportunities, battery electric class 6 and 7 trucks, the electric program, and then also zero emission school buses. And the 4th award by EPA under their Diesel Emission Reduction Act, the DERA program, also for zero emission trucks. Also, we have an award by CARB and CEC for a project called SPEED. That's also for zero emission trucks, battery electric, and also charging infrastructure for those folks. And this item was approved by our board on June 6th at our governing board meeting a couple of weeks ago. And then on the very right, we have the award that we mentioned earlier, the Balboa Island Ferry replacement through an award by CARB. Next slide, please. That's a total of $640 million in awards that we were provided in 2024. Here we're highlighting a few of the incentive programs and some of the work that we did in 2024 under our incentive programs here at South Coast. So we have the residential lawn and garden equipment program that was a very good year for us at South Coast, with the replacement of 3,700 pieces of lawn and garden equipment, all commercialized pieces there. The VW mitigation program, which is a statewide incentive program and AQMD administered that for the state. And we awarded 90 zero emission trucks. Then the school air filtration incentive program, where we provided air filtration systems to more than 230 schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District. We also got a small settlement award by CARB to install air filtration systems to daycare facilities in AB617 communities. Moving on to further to the right, the residential air filtration program with 1,700 units. in East Los Angeles and ECV, AB 617 communities, residencies. And then the Carl Moyer program on the very right. We did things a little differently last year in 2024. We focused a lot on zero emission charging infrastructure with 1,300 heavy duty charging plugs, installed 10 hydrogen stations, and then providing incentive funding to 60 zero emission trucks. So these are some of those incentive program highlights. Next slide, please. So this is a breakdown of how funding looked like over the past 5 years. The pie chart on the left is for the Clean Fuels Fund program, and you see there the breakdown on how we supported zero emission technologies versus the rest of the technologies, and the same concept for the incentive programs on the pie chart on the right. Also zero emission versus other technologies. And you can see there that we were having an increase on the zero emission category. And as more technologies are being commercialized, we are expecting that this incentive funding for zero emissions technologies will be going up as we move forward. Next slide, please. What we are focusing on in 2025. We have the $640 million in awards that you just saw the breakdown there, all of the awards that we were provided. We have the $260 million in incentive funding. So that's a total of $900 million. We have a lot of work going on and trying to implement all that almost $1 billion worth of awards and funding collectively. We will be rolling out the Truck Loaner program in early fall of this year, 2025. This program is focused on small business owners and operators to try out a zero emission truck for up to a month and see if they like it, familiarize with the technology, see how they feel about it. And if they would like to purchase, we will be next to them, supporting them, and we will definitely provide support and try to guide them on how they can apply for incentive funding if they're willing to purchase trucks for their fleets. We will also very soon, hopefully, we will be conducting the residential loan and garden in-person exchange events. There was going to be an event tomorrow, but this has been postponed for a later time. So hopefully we're going to start with those events very soon and get this up and running. And this concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that robust presentation. Certainly, to say that we're doing a lot would be an understatement. I think a lot of times, maybe the general public will view activity as being rules related, but when you see the scope and the depth of what we're doing on these multiple fronts, and well over $500 million in different grant funding, it's clear that there's significant investments on multiple fronts that are going to help us move toward our emission goals. So with that comment, start with Paul, and then David, Bill, and Rita with your questions and comments, and then we'll take any public comment and bring it back.
Celios, I want to ask you a question, but I'd like to extrapolate on this. Okay, there's no really hard answer. Now, with the changes in public policy in the Trump administration, of course, all these grants being cut back, and the man's made it known that we want to shift the focus to other technologies where they were before, politically speaking. What are your chances of trying to recapture or have AQMD, since EPA is getting cut back, continuing some of these programs long term? I mean, you've got the working capital now, but eventually it's going to run out, so to speak. And again, extrapolation only. So there's not a hard answer, but I'd like your view on that.
I'd rather not have us speculate about what the federal government may or may not do. If you have any questions specifically about the programs,
Right.
do you have any particular questions about
Well, Mr. Chairman, but it does affect the programs, money-wise.
I understand,
Right.
but
You mean technology questions?
unless there is been a recent, any information from the federal government regarding these programs of note?
So I don't think Vasilios can answer the question on the
Yeah.
EPA grants because it's not in his group, but
Okay.
Aaron is my deputy
Go ahead, Aaron.
advancement office. So we're moving forward, our grants, we're getting reimbursed from our grants. And I think the one thing that we've shown with our grants is that there's a lot of jobs creation that happens with what we're doing here. The funds that we implement here with the EPA funds, the funds don't only stay here, they go through the rest of the country for manufacturing and other, production means. So we have that in our grant application. That's, I think, one reason we were awarded these grants is that we've shown that if you invest in these technologies, it helps, basically all the other states here in the United States.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't want us to get into speculating. So you have information and to that point, I think Aaron has addressed it. Do you have anything else, Paul?
No, it's fine. Thank
Okay,
you.
fantastic. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kind of parallel thought, but sticking to what we know. The program here is very important to push technology, get, emissions reduced, especially for on-road, heavy-duty trucks, diesel trucks, which is the reason why we're in non-attainment. My question really is, especially with advanced clean fleets being delayed, in as far as it's not going to apply to private fleets, which is the majority of the emissions. It's only at the moment, CARB is saying going to apply to public fleets. How does that impact the incentives? If you have the private fleets that are going to continue using diesel trucks, is this incentive going to help those trucks get off the road? Are we going to look at, rather than electric incentives, to have something that's more of using compressed natural gas and zero, near zero? Is there a change in the philosophy based on the regulations and what's going to be on the road? I'm just curious philosophically, how do you use this to incentivize people to do the right thing? So
The Invest Clean program for EPA, that's really focused on the good improvement perspective. And we still do, we have a Carl Moyer program and all that is still open. You have near zero, we have zero, all sectors pretty much included in that Carl Moyer program. So that's where there's no change to that. It's still business as usual there. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, but also if it was required to say, CARB says, hey, all the trucks have to get off the road, you have to electrify. Would that change the incentive program? If you're required to have an electric vehicle, you don't need to incentivize it. Now it sounds like there's more of it to incentivize.
It would impact some of the Moyer programs, but so far we've been told that like ACF has not impacted Moyer. But we'll see how that goes going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. Going back to your slide 9 on the 2024 incentive program highlights, under your VW mitigation, you said you have 15 million awarded for approximately 90 zero emission trucks. That comes out to a little over $200,000 per truck, according to my math. How does that work exactly? And where does that money go to? Does it go to the truck owner, the truck buyer, the retailer, or how does that work? That's quite a bit of money.
Sure, I'll answer that too. That's not in Vasilios' group. I was lucky to be here today. So the VW program, there's several air districts that administer for VW, and we administer for one of ours is the trucks. And that's for all the state of California. So those trucks, just to be specific, their model years 2010 to 2012. Very specific. You got to scrap them still, just like the Moyer program, but it goes to the purchaser of the truck, the retailer or fleet, whoever's buying those trucks.
So, all right. So if I have one of those trucks, you're talking about, then in effect, I have a trade in, right?
Right.
traded to a 2025 or 2026 truck, clean truck. And then the what, 211,000 is a buy down there? A straight buy down or?
It's not so much like the VIP where it's not cash on the hood per se, but it is a contract with them, like we do with the Moyer side of things.
So if my brand new truck costs me $400,000.
After you purchase it, we'll give you 200 plus thousand.
You'll give me $211,000 in cold hard cash.
Well, via check.
Or check.
Thanks for the clarification.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So I mean, that's a real benefit then to the prospective buyer. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Rita?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I had a couple of questions on slide 5. You mentioned there was a project related to locomotive. And I thought CARB was talking about repealing one of their rules, but I'm not too familiar with that. Does that have an impact in any way on these projects?
Yeah, so I think you're talking about the second project with Zero Emission Industries. So they're developing a mobile refueler for hydrogen, which refueler can support fueling a locomotive or a vessel. So that was just the options, the application options of this mobile refueler, what it can support.
So whether or not CARB keeps their rules?
So it's not tied to a locomotive project application, but one step back, the mobile refueler can support a vessel, a locomotive, and so on with hydrogen.
Okay. And then on the $500,000 or $500 million, the $500 million grant you mentioned, are those projects currently underway or what's the status of the projects?
Right. So we're kicking off the project as we speak, and we just went to the technology committee on June 20th with some program announcements for 3 of the measures, parts of 3 of the measures: the charging infrastructure, the trucks, and the cargo handling equipment, for a total of $230 million. So that were preliminarily approved by the tech committee. They're going to August board for final review and approval. That's our recommendation. This is the first recommendation we're making for that Invest Clean program.
Oh, wait, no, Vasilis, we've got the 190 million for the battery electric switcher locomotive. That's over
Okay.
right now.
Okay. All right. So you've already received that funding. It's not like strict funding, or is it like a partnership with the federal government? How?
They don't give us the funds up front. We draw down as we incur the costs.
I see. Okay. So it's like a reimbursement type model. Okay. All right. Thank you. And I think you mentioned for the school air filtration project, the 7.9 million on slide 9, those are restricted for AB 617 communities, right?
Yeah, sorry, that's another one outside of his group. Yellow groups. That one, so AB 617, they went through the participatory budgeting process, and 2 of those communities wanted residential air filtration. So it is restricted to the 2 communities or 86 communities that asked for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rita. Seeing no other question. Oh, Councilman, please.
Really quick, thank you for the presentation. I think my question may have just been answered. But regarding the in-person residential lawn and garden exchange program, I don't know, should I go, how does it, number one, how does it work? Thank you. How does it work? And is that something that is 617 community specific? Is it something that we can inform our residents in our cities?
That's good. So first of all, we have a program open right now for all residents in our basin that you can go down, purchase a zero emission lawnmower, leaf blower, weed trimmer, hedge trimmer, whatever it is, and then take an old piece to one of our scrapping facilities. This is all online on our website.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
And send the rebate. We apply for the rebate online, and we can send you the check through the mail. So that's continuously open right now. We're trying to do these in-person events. We had these in the past. That's all we used to do. And so we're going to start these up again. And so that would be one in each county is kind of the thought.
Awesome.
But we have to see how many people will participate because the online rebate is open and a lot of residents use that right now.
Okay. And this is only a personal question because I just purchased everything electrically 3 months ago. If I find my paperwork, my receipts, and I think I should have everything. Is there a time frame?
Oh, your testimony, I remember in that program, I think there is a time frame, but if you might, if you just grab the equivalent piece of the gas.
Perfect, that works. All right.
And then just for your information, also for everyone's information, there also is a commercial lawn and garden, and we have a list of retailers on there. And that program it's going really well.
Oh,
There's a
excellent.
lot of pieces of equipment being exchanged there.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great question. Let's go to any public comment.
No one's hand is raised online.
All right. So we'll go ahead and close public comment and seeing no other comments, we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you for the report and everything for the clarification. Move back to item 5, an update on AB 3766, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wayne Garcia. I'm a program supervisor with the district. I help to administer the AB 2766 Motor Vehicle Subvention Fund. We recently completed our fiscal year 23-24 annual report for this program. It was presented to Mobile Force Committee last Friday, and I appreciate the invitation to come and deliver this information to you. Next slide, please. So by way of background, this is the program that we all participate individually when we register our vehicles. We pay $6 towards this fund. It's the Motor Vehicle Subvention Fund. The statute breaks up in a number of different ways, but this report covers a specific portion that is subvened out to the cities. So every quarter, 162 local governments in our air basin receive these distributions as a share of population. So then they implement projects with funds that reduce motor vehicle emissions, and they report these projects to us annually. And this report is a culmination of that year's activity of this partnership between the district and our local governments. Next slide, please. So these are the overall numbers. There's 162 local governments. That number usually doesn't change. And there was $22.7 million in project spending in this fiscal year. 347 projects implemented, 261 of which are quantifiable. There are some projects that are not quantifiable. This resulted in 122 tons of emissions reduced in this fiscal year. And there were $21 million or so in fees allocated to all the jurisdictions. Next slide, please. So my group's role is to kind of keep a constant communication with our local governments to make sure that the projects they're implementing are useful to them and also meet the requirements of the program. But the reporting period is a way for us to bracket our outreach and really begin again. So at the start of every year, we have training sessions where we get members of our local cities to come and just learn about the program if it's the first time for them, or just kind of reset it if they haven't seen it in a while. In our training, we talk about our project eligibility accounting requirements. We focus on cost effectiveness as a tool for evaluating projects prior to implementation. And we'll present this information to all our councils of governments as well on invitation, or any kind of actor who wants to have us out. Next slide, please. This slide presents all the different project categories available that can reduce mobile source emissions, but you'll note that there's a miscellaneous category as well. So if there's a new kind of project that reduces motor vehicle emissions but doesn't fit into one of the categories that you see here, that can be put in there. But we'll go a little bit more in depth on the project categories in the report in the next couple slides. So next slide, please. So this slide presents kind of a recent program history. You have the goldenrod. That's the current fiscal year that we're looking at in this program with this report. But you can see the prior years, kind of get a picture of what's happening with this program. Those of you who might be new to the program, the beginning balance is an important item because it shows that jurisdictions are able to accumulate funds over time. And that's a feature of this program, that you might not be able to have enough funds if you're a jurisdiction to plan a project that's larger, it requires a little bit more capital outlay. So you're able to accumulate funds over time, and that's what that beginning balance represents. Start the year with this funds for all jurisdictions. Moving left to right, you can see the fees received, the project spending that occurred in this fiscal year, and the ending balance is there, but I want to highlight that pre-designated fund column is where the jurisdictions communicate to us and to the public, really, that we know we have an ending balance, but this is our plan for it in the future. So that pre-designation is this kind of term of art in this program where they're identifying these funds for future uses. So the bottom right-hand corner that you see their funds remaining is just any dollar amount held by a jurisdiction that just doesn't have a plan yet. They haven't identified a future use yet. That's what that represents there. Next slide, please. We're looking here on this slide of the total expenditures by the different project categories. And I'll explain them a little bit in depth here. One thing I want to note is you'll only see so of all the 11 project categories, there are only 10 represented because one category is utilized for the most part. And the top categories that you see here are always typically the top categories. This is organized by project spending. And so the biggest one you see are the purchase and lease of alternative fuel and electric vehicles, and also the infrastructure to support that turnover. That's typically the biggest dollar amount in this program. Below that, you see TDM programs, transportation demand management. That's typically internal to the jurisdictions themselves, so for their employees, but also for community members. So that's trip reduction programs is what that funds there. Traffic management is signal synchronization projects and the like. Land use is the planning around motor vehicle emissions, but also some infrastructure projects go into that category. There's PM reduction strategies, typically street sweeping. Bicycling programs are bike infrastructure, bike lanes, and bike share programs. Public transportation is either subsidizing existing lines or operating your own transit agency within your city boundary. There's that miscellaneous project categories. Vehicle emissions abatement is typically off-road equipment is in that category. And public education, which are just kind of raising awareness around air quality issues around the programs that are implemented with these funds. So you can see the total project spending and the number of projects at the bottom there. Next slide, please. And here we break down the different categories by the emissions reduced. And these, you'll see a different lineup here because there's certain projects that reduce more emissions than others. And also the same thing kind of applies where year after year, the top categories are those that you see there. TDM projects reduce a lot of emissions. There's PM reduction strategy behind that. Going on down the line, and you can see the different columns. There are projects that are not quantifiable, and that's an allowable part of this program. So you have the ending result of the emissions reduced at the bottom there in the goldenrod, 121 or 122 tons or so for the year. And the cost effectiveness per ton is listed in the bottom right-hand corner there. And again, just one thing to point out for those new to this program, the cost effectiveness that's evaluated in this program is a little bit different than Carl Moyer or other programs. It's unique to this program and CMAQ projects at the TMO level. So the quantification is done a little bit differently than other projects you might see. Next slide has the total emissions reduced. It's split up by the counties there. Typically the more populated counties such as Los Angeles are going to have more projects, and so you're going to have more emissions reduced there per county. The next slide has our contact information for follow-up questions in your jurisdictions or anyone else who's interested in this. We have an air quality specialist role that we're filling this year, so there's another person that will be there next year, hopefully. So last slide. Thank you for your time, and I'll answer the questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. If you could go back a couple of slides to the breakdown where it had one more, please. Great. So it was total of $70 million in among the 347 projects on the last line.
So,
or is that what we're including?
The beginning balance. So I'm going a little bit further to find the total. You're saying 70 million. The amount received by the jurisdictions in this year was 21 million. The amount spent by the jurisdictions was 22.7 million.
Okay.
Overall for all projects.
The past year was 22 million.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe the number you were looking at was the average cost of companies.
That was the average cost effect. Okay, thank you, thank you.
So the average cost effectiveness is 70,350.
I gotta check my glasses. I didn't get that on the zero.
Yeah, go back to the slide.
There we go.
Cost effectiveness,
Okay, yeah, I see that 70,000 for each
yeah, around
60 or so.
around
Okay,
$35 per pound, yeah.
thank you. And so the admission tons per year, approximately 120 tons per year based on the $21 million last year.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
But there is an ending balance of 70 million
Very good.
right now. So
Okay, and any questions, Councilman?
For the, I'm trying to remember what slide it was, for the, I think it's slide 7. For the alternative fuel and electric vehicles, is there a requirement, out of curiosity, is there a requirement, so if a city is going to get a new vehicle, is there a requirement that an old vehicle has to be taken out?
No, there's no scrapping requirement in this program.
That'd be helpful. Okay, thank you.
Okay, David?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Question on the funds. It's $6 per vehicle that DMV collects. And I assume when you say $1.20 goes to South Coast, that's for the vehicles in the air district. So if you're not in South Coast, the same $1 go to another air district, it's just by the vehicles registered in that air district?
Yes, it is vehicles registered in the air district, so $6 for any vehicle. And then if an air district has opted into receiving those funds, then they would receive for vehicles in their air district. So that fund is fine. Yeah, so funds generated in our district don't go to another air district.
Got it. And kind of where I was going with this is San Joaquin adds in quite a bit. They have additional fees on that. Do you know if they still get the $1.20?
I'm not an expert.
I'm not sure either. I just know there's a lot more funding available because they have additional fees for registration that we don't have here.
That even took a different statute to add on to that.
So yeah. Thank you.
Rita?
yes, thank you for your presentation. And I had a question on the project categories. I see a couple of things like land use, public education. Does the project have to be related to a mobile source activity, or how did those play in?
Yes, so
Okay.
if a jurisdiction, for example, is going to update their planning documents, it can't be used for things like the housing element or noise. It's gotta be motor vehicle related, transportation related.
Thank you.
And that 120 tons, was that NOx?
That's all combined. And it's broken down by, in this program, reactive organic gases, which is a corollary to VOC, and NOx and PM10 in this program, and CO7, excuse me.
Oh, thank you. Well, do we have any public comments in the queue?
Don't have any online and
Okay, we'll bring it back. I think one also noteworthy aspect of the program that I really appreciate is the collaboration with the cities, their staff, and AQMD to really help to try to maximize the use of the funds and the availability of our staff to just be providing any input. But ultimately, I also appreciate the aspect of local control so that, again, the city can tailor it to their needs and the needs of their constituents. So I think it's the best of both worlds and really a valuable program to help towards our goals. Again, we are known generally, I haven't taken a poll or anything, but I think generally folks will think about rulemaking, those aspects of things. But again, here's another example of kind of the service provided by staff and really helping the cities work, at that level of constituent service to really see what they can do on this broad array of project types to make an impact. So just thought I'd opine here for a second. It looks like we have Bill, another comment.
Yeah, thank you. I noticed on your slide number 6, recent program history, your beginning balance for 23-24, 59.7 million, and your fund remaining 12.9 million. I believe that you said that those were cities who hadn't come up with a plan or developed a plan, submitted it. Is there that's about 18% of that total. What happens? Does that keep that money just sit in their coffers or the district coffers? Does it go unspent or do you give the cities a timeline to actually develop?
Bless you.
Great question, Bill. Thank you. The statute language doesn't have a sunset for the funds, so they are able to hold on to them indefinitely. It goes into a specific account. So that's a clear, in the statute language, if you're receiving these funds, you have to create a fund in your city account where they go. So it doesn't go anywhere else except in that fund.
All right.
Jurisdictions can earn interest, like according to any, public agency that can do that, and they have to account for that in their report. But there is no sunset, and they're able to just hold on to those funds until they can find the right project and the right timing for it.
All right. No, thank you for clarifying that. Now, by holding on to these unspent funds, does that disqualify me from collecting any additional funds? And just
Not in this
adding-
program. I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
So I'm still eligible to collect more funds then,
Yes.
to add to that unspent balance.
Yes, that's the feature of this program, is that jurisdictions can do some long-range planning and add additional funds, knowing that in 2027, they're gonna have another 4 quarters, 2028, they're gonna have another 4 quarters, and they can plan the timing of that project appropriately.
That's pretty nice, and there's no sunset on that.
There's not.
I don't know, that kind of, it could lead to a lot of mixed.
Well, I think, let's give an example. For City of Yorba Linda, we in the past have waited a number of years to accumulate enough funds so we can work on a more significant fleet change.
But you had an objective in mind.
Right, and I think that part of why cities may be waiting is for the long range planning standpoint, you need to accumulate enough funds in the restricted. Again, it's a restricted fund. Set part in your budget. It's not part of your general fund. It's like, for example, the development impact fee would be the restricted fund. These would be restricted funds only for this use. And we're accumulating enough so that we can then implement maybe charging stations or purchase new vehicles. And so you may not be able to do that in 1 year. So you're taking multiple years to have enough amount and balance to then deploy those funds. Bring in the infrastructure, the fleet change, or whatever it may be, city by city. So you may not be seeing a turnaround of dollars in, dollars out, year after year. It may take a few years to have enough funds before you can then execute the plan. So I think it's really more giving us a flexibility again to not must spend it this year, whereas you can get maybe even more bang for your buck.
Could I?
It's layaway. Is what it is.
Savings so that you can,
Layaway plan.
like we do as your own personal budget. You may not have the funds right away. You save up and then you get what you need.
Christmas club or something.
So go ahead.
I could add also to your concern, this program is required by statute to be audited every 2 years. It's a very specific requirement in the statute language that's kind of unique for other kinds of funds. So any jurisdiction receiving these funds is going to get audited. I mean, they show up just for that account. They audit just that line item account, which is kind of an outlier in terms of accounting procedures.
So then, and cities like Yorba Linda communicate what they have in mind, their wish list or whatever it is, to you or to the auditors.
Yeah.
And say, this is what we're doing. We're building up a reserve here so that we can develop whatever project that we have in mind.
Precisely, yeah. And that pre-designation is so important for us. And that's the point where we really interact with the cities and say, we noticed you have a balance. Can you talk to us? Can you talk to the public about what you plan to do?
Good. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, well, don't see any other questions. So we'll move on to item 7, other business. And I'll pause and ask about any other business. Okay. Seeing none, colleagues will go to public comment period. And do we have any on the queue here?
No, none online.
Very well. Then I'll say we conclude our meeting in just about under an hour. Our next meeting date will be Friday, August 8th, 2025. I want to wish you all a happy and safe 4th of July celebration. Staff, thank you for all your work and dedication. We appreciate that. Wish you all a great rest of the day. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You see.